Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 9 of the Loot Drop podcast. As always, joining me today are Prezi J and Rathagen. Thank you guys for joining us. Prezi had some announcements he wanted to make, so we're going to kick off there, and then we're going to be talking about some E3 news.
Oh, I
What you got for us,
specifically
Prezi?
said I would just say this later on,
Yeah, I know,
and
I
yet
just
he.
wanted to get it out of the way.
Oh, I guess the first thing I have to say is, can anybody hear you? Are you speaking?
Yeah,
Are you sure you're speaking?
I am 100% sure I'm speaking.
Okay,
So
I
I
just
had
want to
to
make sure
I had
because
to
you
edit the
you know.
previous episode a little bit. Like basically every time I spoke, I just cut that out. So it's just Wrath and you talking for a while.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
Uh,
Either way,
Sorry
I
about that,
did have
guys.
to just real quickly get this out. We did have somebody in our Discord, specifically ask about this, and I was going to bring it back up. I don't appreciate Wrath's comment in our Discord. I want to be honest with you, but
What
I
is
will say
what does the comment
the
say?
it was all around a fight that happened 2 weeks ago, um, between Logan Paul and Floyd
How he
Mayweather.
got knocked out?
No one got
And
knocked
then
out. That's not how that works.
he got
He didn't
knocked
get
out
knocked
and
out.
held
That's
up.
not true at all. That's not true at
I've
all.
seen the video. He
Yeah,
slumps over and he's hugged onto his feet by Mayweather.
that's how you're supposed to do it if you're like literally 60 pounds heavier than somebody else. You let them
You
get
just
in,
carry their body
and
weight and
you
ballroom dance
literally
with them
let them get
with their
in, and you
limp
use your weight
corpse.
over top of them. That's how this works. It's super unfortunate that everybody on Twitter and like yourself that thinks they know boxing all of a sudden thinks they know boxing.
I don't know
Um,
boxing and I'm not a doctor, but I know someone's limp corpse when I see it.
I'm just gonna
That
tell
man
you,
looked like a
there was no
marionette with
knockout.
all of the strings
There was no
loose.
knockout. The verdict did come to the fact that Logan Paul did go a full 8 rounds with literally the greatest of all time. So it is a win, I think, in both books due to the fact that both make millions off this fight. Um, the percentages of, if you look at their stats, Mayweather did his normal thing where he sat back. He's incredibly defensive. It's kind of his thing. Um, I was kind of happy with the way it ended, because it won't lead to another one, but at least it will show that Logan Paul is the most paid prize fighter in the world, which is always makes me extremely happy to hear something like that. And then this past week, you actually had a fight which was extremely useless between a bunch of TikTokers and YouTubers, and it showed that uh, people want to watch this, I guess. The views didn't do that well, and they didn't even get close to selling out the stadium. So, other than that, that's all I have to say is it's a W for both of them. I'd rather say that. And no one got knocked out. I think you're just dumb, but that's okay.
Could
I
you imagine if they did this with like Twitch rivals and they just had like big Twitch names get in a boxing ring and fight each other?
So
Like
it's so
XQC
dumb.
Boxing Pokimane or something like
Oh my
that?
gosh. I mean, I think that it's going to go too far. Everybody's looking. It's like everybody trying to create their own crypto.
so
They're just looking for the quick bag.
with the stadium not being sold out, like
That
Logan
was for the
Paul
YouTube.
has a brand, right?
Those are the
Like
YouTube TikTokers. I will say that, like, technically, because all technicality, 75% of the stadium being sold is sold out. They did sell at that stadium. Logan Paul Mayweather sold out that stadium.
well, and I think it's mostly like people went virtually, like and watched it virtually. I don't think a lot of people went in person.
A lot of okay,
With
well, I mean, you had 46,000 people show up.
I saw video of like someone they were in like second row and they were pretty far back from the stage and it looked like a fair amount of open floor space around the ring.
Well, part of that is because it rained the whole time prior. Like the
Okay.
3 fights prior, literally you had judges and things like that wiping down the floor all the time. They had to stop so many matches because the floor just kept getting so wet, and they had a covering over that awning itself. So in Miami, when it doesn't ever rain, it did rain this time. It's an open stadium, so it is what happened.
Okay, that's fair.
They did shut down Showtime. I do want to mention Showtime shut down. Like, you couldn't we missed the first one and I paid for it because the server was so overloaded. And I can't imagine a behemoth of like Showtime and the money they have backing them to have, and they do pay-per-views. That's kind of like their thing. and the whole thing just shut down. It was really interesting. I'm curious where they go from here.
I
I don't
just
know,
don't
with
understand how
other
you didn't
platforms.
see the knockout where he slumps over and gets ballroom
I
danced around the
saw
arena.
where he did a boxing, a tactical move in boxing. That's
Is
what I
his
saw.
was his entire body going limp? The tactical, like, was he playing dead?
You need to watch the rest of it because you'll literally see that happen like 4 or 5 other times with him not even getting hit, him letting him in, and then literally falling on him because of what you're supposed to do.
So let's revisit what started this conversation, though, because what was the
It's a good point.
comment that you made on the podcast that made that person in our Discord question
I
your
didn't say
judgment?
anything. I didn't say anything. I stayed silent that whole time prior to the fight.
That's not
Is that
that's
an
not
actual
accurate.
quote from me, Raph?
Yes, you quoted yourself saying, "I might." I forget what you said, but you said, "I might regret saying this, but I'm going on record to say blank." And I don't remember what you said, but you
Yeah, but I don't
definitely
think I said,
commented.
listen, guys, the greatest offensive boxer in the
No,
history
no, no,
of
no,
the
no, 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 no,
sport.
no. You didn't say that, but that's basically what you implied with what I heard you said, because you said that he wasn't going to touch Mayweather.
Oh, I didn't think he was going to. Just because of
No,
sheer
no, no, no,
reach and
no,
sheer
no. That's
size.
that's that's not what it was. What did you say? I got to look at this. I got
Where
to
are
look at
we?
this.
Where's
It
the
was
discussion?
no, no, no.
What?
You said Mayweather won't touch Logan. That's what was said.
Yeah, that's what I said. I know what I said.
Where's the discussion in Discord?
Oh
What
my
channel
god.
is this
Okay,
in?
I'm not gonna help out like the 70-year-old trying to figure out how to work Discord right now
I'm in
in
Discord
the
right
middle
now.
of a
Just
podcast.
what
And
Contact
you
tech
channel?
should be able to
support.
figure this out. Go to general discussion.
Oh, let me do what Sunbro did when I was having microphone issues.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sunbro, have you tried restarting your computer?
Oh no.
When I
Are
was
you
having
sure that
internet
Discord
problems
is
yesterday? Yeah,
connected to your computer?
I'm
Is it
pretty sure.
downloaded? Make sure you uninstall and then reinstall Discord. Discord starts with a D. Yeah, this is the kind of like tech help you get from Total Old Bro.
Be right back. I'm just liking Wrath's comment in the
Oh my
Discord.
god. And this is the first time you've seen the Discord. If you ever comment in the Discord, at least Raph and I will try to, participate and be a part of this. While Sunbro, obviously it's, above his pay grade.
Sunbro, wasn't that a great comment on my part?
It was a
I feel
really
like it
great
was
comment.
I'm just saying that it wasn't. I want to move on from here. We have a lot to talk about, but
Hold on,
I'm
hold on.
just
We gotta cover what I said first, and then
yeah,
we'll
yeah,
move on.
yeah.
So allegedly, Prezi said that Mayweather won't touch Logan. And I said, quoting, listen, guys, the greatest defensive boxer in the history of the sport will not land a single blow on a YouTube star with an 0-1 record. We can move on now. I
Yeah.
just want to get that out there.
I'm just gonna say I'm really proud of him for sticking 8 rounds with that.
That's true.
He
That's
busted his lip. He busted Mayweather hit him pretty bad, a couple different areas. His nose started bleeding halfway through the match. Whatever, they got that fully under control. But the fact that he
For
hit
the amount
Mayweather
of
and
money
busted
that he
Mayweather's lip
made,
up,
for
like
the amount of money he made, I would let Mayweather box me with scalpels taped to the end of his gloves,
he still
and I
wouldn't.
would stay in
Like,
8 rounds.
and you couldn't stay in 8 rounds even without any of that. With full headgear, I don't think you'd be able to stay in 8 rounds. I think you literally would be more unconscious than what the clip you're talking about right now. I'll pay actually. I'll
I
buy
would
a
have
boxing
someone
ring.
in the
You and
rafters
Raph go in a
marionetting
ring.
my dead corpse around
I
for
want
that
you
much
and Raph
money.
in a ring. Okay. I'll buy the ring. I'll sell some tickets to it. I'll give you guys each like $500, 1,000 to whoever the winner is. Get in there. I want
That's
you to go eight
that's what
rounds,
folks want to
and
see.
I'll do minute rounds for all I care. I'll do
Two
8 minutes,
dad bod dudes wailing on each other in a backyard on a rubber mat.
and I still got my money on Raph.
Honestly, same.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I could put you in like I don't know the next door neighbor that's old and frail and just wants to talk to you all the time, and she still would win. So okay, we can move on from here. I just wanted to address that. Thank you for having discussion in our Discord. I will. I'm happy to actually have that. So
Um, so E3 this week. It's been pretty big. There's a lot going on in gaming right now. So obviously it's E3 and Summer Games Fest week. So they announced a whole heck of a lot of games. GCX is doing their St. Jude charity fundraiser right now. I think last I checked, they were approaching the $4 million raised for St. Jude mark. Where do you guys want to start?
We talk about how Disney basically took over E3.
What do you mean?
Well, leave it to Disney to put their nose literally in everything possible. So I mean, as soon as I saw Captain Jack show up, I knew for a fact right there. That was the moment. One, I was really excited about it. And two, and it was in the Sea of Thieves, I believe, trailer that they released. Um, and I think that was I'm anticipating that being really exciting for myself.
Well,
But I think Disney's getting their nose in the middle of gaming a little too much also.
Ref, do you have something you wanted to say? Um, so with the Sea of Thieves, something that's kind of cool about that though is that the story that they're telling in that expansion of the game, right, with the Pirates of the Caribbean and Captain Jack Sparrow and all that, it's a new story and it's canon. So like we were used to them releasing essentially a Pirates of the Caribbean movie like every couple years, right? This is the next installment in that story. So it's not even like this is just extra. This is a Yeah, I saw that too. This is a everything's still fine. We're still good. This is an extension of that universe and of that like lore, which is super super cool. What do you think your top game that you saw is, Prezi?
Um, okay. We had this discussion prior before the podcast, and I'm really upset we did because I didn't know that you didn't know how video games work. But I think that the best one that I saw was Forza Horizon 5, which E3 gave it an award after the fourth day as the overall most anticipated game. So, but it's because I think racing games are phenomenal. The way they're designed, all the intricacies. I mean, Forza Horizon 3 was a massive jump even between Forza 2. And then Forza 4 was great. So, I mean, there's just a lot there. You were talking about cactuses for some reason in a racing game that I didn't care about.
Well, that was one of the main things that they brought up was that uh, the fidelity of what they captured. Like, so what I was saying about cactuses is that when you're driving around, if you just pause the game or you go into the photo mode, you can count the individual needles on the
Oh
cacti.
yeah. Okay. I'll make sure I do that. I'm going like
It's just
180 miles an
neat.
hour. I click pause, and then I like look over. I'm like, oh, you know what? I always wondered how many needles were on
It's
that cactus.
just neat that it's even rendered.
Yeah, but who cares?
They that's
Like,
what I'm saying. They didn't have to give it that level of fidelity. If you're
maybe they
traveling at
shouldn't have.
180 miles an hour,
If the
you're not going
game,
to
if
note it.
at all, if the game sucks, I'm gonna blame every single person that was worrying about the needles on the cactus.
I wasn't worried. It was just they pointed it out. They specifically pointed it out.
Yeah, well, I have
That
no doubt on
that's
that.
that's the natural progression of this industry, though. You
It's
think
true.
about 20 years ago, what did games look like
They're all flat.
versus now? And
Yeah.
even when you're thinking, 8, 9, 10 years ago, back then, I remember asking myself, how much better are they going to get these games to look? You know what I
So,
mean?
so they make. So my question though is, there's only a certain point though of where like like they always say you can buy an 8K TV, right?
Hmm.
You can buy an 8K monitors. Not soup. There's not a big difference. There's a big difference between obviously 4K and 8K. I understand how pixels work, but the difference is not enough for the human eye really to start detecting different things. A
So
lot of
it,
things go into latency and hertz and things like that to kind of differentiate everything out. My thing is though, is there a point though that it just doesn't matter anymore,
I
or
think
are they
so.
like
I think we're near there. Like if
Yeah.
we're being realistic, like they captured 12K footage to build like a lot of the roads you're going to be driving on in Horizon are real locations, right? They captured real location data to
Right.
build that world. A, so that it felt like authentic, and so that you could really, have the feeling of driving your, you know Ferrari like through Mexico and through all the
Sure.
different like locations.
And part of me says that it's if it helps the developer get from point A to point B faster. So let's say because sensors are so small now and they're able to create chips that are absolutely just mind blowing compared to like you said 10 years ago. So if it helps the developer at all get from point A to point B to render out a full city, in 12K because one, that's what they got and it goes faster than what they would have done in 4K or even in 8K. Um, more power to them, and I'm happy that they can get a game out faster and that it looks beautiful and it works really well. But at some point, I just don't care about that advertisement of um it's this much more breathtaking because it's this the pixels are this much closer.
Well,
I
no,
want to hear more about the performance, which I
I'm
got to see a
almost
lot of.
yeah, I'm on the spot. They're not rendering it in 12K. They took
They
that and
can't.
they
Well, they
yeah
can't. There's
yeah,
no. Yeah.
and they obviously downsampled that. But so
Right.
far as I could see, the performance is there, and it's going to be a true next gen experience for folks that enjoy racing
Yeah.
games.
And I think back to our argument that's just going to be overarching from when we started this to now. I think that game is worth the new price point.
But
Well,
So
I
if
could
you
tell
have
you they're
Game
going to charge
Pass,
the new price
yeah,
point because they made sure to take the time to render every individual needle on the cacti.
good
it's
point.
on
Good
Game
point.
Pass
So
day one.
Yeah, but I hate the idea of Game Pass. But yes, I understand. I
I
know, I know,
hate
I know.
saving money. That's what you just said.
No, I don't play all the games on Game. You've never played all the games in Game Pass, but your argument to yourself to validate the fact that you pay this every
The
month.
other day,
Uh-huh.
I was like, I kind of want to play something new. What do I want to do? I opened up Game Pass. I downloaded Titanfall 2. I played through the entire campaign and the multiplayer that day. I got the
You know how many
entire game's
months I
experience.
know personally that you have gone without using any game on Game Pass?
How many months?
At least two. So there's
Honestly,
30 bucks
that's
just
probably
just
fair.
thrown right down the drain.
No, because I have my Xbox Live subscription for my
Yeah,
Xbox.
but you don't
That if
use
I
that
so
want,
either. So, but either way, yeah, yeah.
what I want to know about Game Pass is behind the scenes, how does that affect the developers and publishers of the game and how they're compensated for said games?
Such
Because
a good question.
Game Pass is how much a month?
Depends.
it's ten
Ultimate
dollars a
is
month.
15. Yeah, regular
Ultimate is
is
Okay.
10, yeah.
15.
$10 a month to a plethora of games that are 60 and under, correct?
70 and under, but yes.
Mhm.
70 and under.
Yeah.
So how does that affect people's pay is what I want to know.
So,
Because I cannot envision a world where Microsoft is doing this out of the goodness of their heart and somebody is not getting basically stuck with that bill somewhere.
right. And so it's not, I think this conversation is phenomenal because I've been thinking a lot about it. Um, Not necessarily regard to gaming, but it's directly related. So I watched In the Heights, the new movie that just came out. It's a new Broadway musical into a movie. Phenomenal movie. My one recommendation is to watch that movie. But I didn't watch it in theater. I watched it on HBO Max, which is a $10 a month subscription. And HBO Max does the same thing they've done recently, which is if it's a Universal movie, it comes out for 30 days and then it goes into a blackout period, just as if you were there at the movie until it were to come out on a DVD or Blu-ray. And so my thought process went into I know when I show up to the movie theater, a couple things happen, right? I pay that money to then go see the movie, but then also I pay for popcorn or whatever it may have at the theater, which will help the theater itself. So the theater probably doesn't make a whole lot off the movie as much as it makes off of pretty much everything else going on. Um, so my thought process went to because they're doing it this way, I wonder how many people, even still to this day, are not comfortable going to a movie, and one the convenience of just watching it in your home. So my thing was I had four people watch it for $10, and I don't know how much money they make off of that. I mean, the subscription itself can't really supply what I would assume a movie budget would be able to do. But then partially of that, and I think this is where Xbox hopefully will, what I expect is happening, is they're willing to pay that price of whatever those top tier games are, because unlike Sumbro says, half the games on Game Pass are trash. They're $2 games that coffee talk. I want you to go play Coffee Talk, and I want you to report back Sumbro, because there's like half the games on there are not games that people are normally buying, so they're kind of just on there, probably to bring some relevancy to the program. I would assume that they compensate them to a good margin, because they have the expectation that somebody like Sumbro will continue to pay Game Pass even when he's not using it for months on end. But I don't know how, and it's it's the Netflix model. Netflix has been doing this forever. How do they keep their budgets that big on their movies and still adequately pay their actors and actresses for only $7.99 a month?
So, Game Pass PC.
Yeah.
First game, A Plague Tale: Innocence. That was a $60, or I think that was a $40 title. A Way
Yes.
Out. That was a $40 title. Age of
Correct.
Empires, 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
Uh,
All old games. What you just said to me are
Age
all
of Em-
games that are.
Age of Empires 4 is coming to Game Pass day one. Moving
I
on.
understand.
Alien Isolation. That was a $60 game. I bought that. Among Us. That is a $5 game. Fair enough. Anthem. That was a $60 game when it released. It was a bad game, but it was $60 when it released. I've never heard of Ape Out. Ark Survival is already free to play. Arx Fatalis is a new game from Bethesda. Astronomer, I haven't heard of it. Backbone, I haven't heard of it. Battle Chasers Night War, I haven't heard of it. They have every Battlefield from 3 through 5, including Revolution and Hardline. Battletoads, a brand new game that just released last year. It was a callback to some game that was out in the 90s. Blair Witch. Bleeding Edge, it's a brand new fighting game, kind of like Overwatch, just released last year. Burnout Paradise, Call of the Sea is a brand new game last year. Carrion, brand new game last year. Now, some of these, Carlos, Celeste, Children of Morta, City Skyline, Cluster Truck, they're little indie titles. That's fine. Code Vein, that was a $60 title. Control, that was a $60 title. Conan Exiles, that was a $60 title. Crackdown 3, that was a $60 title. Crisis, 1, 2, and 3. Pretty sure those are all $60 titles. Crusader Kings 3, that was, when it first released, a $60 title. Dead by Daylight. I don't know how much Dead by Daylight is. That's never been my game, but I'm pretty sure that's like a $30 or $40 game, because it's a multiplayer only. Dead Cells, that's like a $30 title, $20, $30 title. That's an indie game, but it's very well done. They have Dead Space 1, 2, and 3. Deep Rock Galactic. They have Dirt 5. Dishonored 1 and 2. And the special edition of 1. They have all the Dooms. They have all the Elder Scrolls games, with the exception of Elder Scrolls Online right now. They have all the Dragon Age games. Both of the Dragon Quest games. Like, they've all the Fallout games. They have Final Fantasy VII, the original, and then they have the remake of 8, and they have 10 and 10-2 remade. Faye, that's a brand new game. FIFA 21 and FIFA 20 and FIFA 19 for whatever reason.
Yeah, those are all through EA stuff too.
Yeah.
So here's my thing though, real quickly, and I'm gonna let you jump into back to E3 and what's coming to this and why this I think is gonna get more value. Right now, and I went through the same list today because I was not sure what I wanted to play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Battlefield 5 came out in 2018, right? Pretty
Mhm.
irrelevant right now, to be honest with you, in the shooter world. You said Age of Empires 3. That the newest Age of Empires came out in 2005, right? So I'm just pointing out that, and I'm be curious how their pay model works. Is how many times you may even play that game individually? Is how much money goes back to that studio? I don't know. Because right now, I can guarantee you that you personally have not played half of those games that are on there through Game Pass at least.
There's over 100 games just for PC. Absolutely, I haven't. But
Right. So
I've
is it worth it
paid
really to do that? Right
as a
now, I don't necessarily know.
as a consumer, I have played at least 7 of these games in the last year. Okay?
Right.
I
So,
don't think anyone is debating the consumer benefit. I think we're wondering why it's so cheap to play games on Game Pass, but they're marketing these games at $60
well,
and
because
$70. And
Right.
where
Microsoft
is the financial trade off for that being a loss leader, and
Microsoft
who's
got
taking it?
absolutely trounced during the last console generation. PlayStation crushed Xbox through the life of the
True,
Xbox One and the PS4. Absolutely.
true.
That's an undeniable fact. There were better exclusives, and overall, the games that were really good on Xbox were also available on PlayStation. So there was almost no benefit to getting an Xbox. It was better off getting a PlayStation, still playing the games you want to play that are coming out to everything, but also, harvesting access to their exclusives. Now, Microsoft is responding to that, in my opinion, on 2 fronts. Firstly, with the several billion-dollar acquisition of Bethesda, they've now acquired a stable of strong IPs that can be exclusive to Xbox and Microsoft, pulling in money and consumers straight to them, right? But secondly, they now have Game Pass, which allows them to rotate in and out games, provide a good value to consumer, and is another selling point to have someone in that ecosystem. So the benefit for Microsoft having Game Pass is not a one-time purchase with microtransactions tacked onto it. The benefit to Microsoft is steady and consistent cash flow, because once you have Game Pass, there's almost no reason to cancel it. Like, what they've probably found is most people just pay the subscription like you would for Netflix or HBO Max. Now, some people are going to just pay for the month, play whatever game they want, and cancel. But I'm willing to bet a lot of people, like myself, just pay the subscription so that I always have access to it. I can check out whatever it is whenever I want, and then they have that steady cash flow every month across their user base, whether you're using it or not. And I think that's where,
Steady cash flow that is most likely very little to no profit.
So, so part of me says, and I looked this up a little bit. Um, there's kind of like 4 tiers of how Microsoft pays developers for this. The first part is just a large chunk of money just shoved at the game to get them even on Game Pass in the first place. Then every download and there's certain goals obviously in the background that are met here. Pennies on the dollar basically go back to those developers. Then exposure is part of it because I mean you're getting a lot of exposure from Microsoft to even be able to put that on there. My curiosity as well is if, and there's got to be, I would love to see one of these contracts. I know they're not public, but I would love to see one of these contracts. One of these big titles. One of these reasons that some bro pays for the Game Pass and doesn't play these games is the fact that I think that you they probably will say we're only going to be on there for 3 to 4 months, and then we'll go off, and hopefully you bring people with that, that'll then come play your game. Um, Microtransactions, obviously, and DLCs with the individual games, if they have any, that'll be helpful. I mean, I can imagine that. I remember when before Epic Games bought Rocket League for a portion of the 2020 year was free to play on Game Pass, and I can tell you right now, I know microtransactions there definitely were flowing, and that's why Epic even wanted to acquire it, was because microtransactions were doing well, and then also free marketing is kind of what they broke this down into. So it's interesting to see that. I just don't think that it's profitable to. I mean, it's probably profitable to
so
the developer, but I
let's
don't think it's you know
let's talk about what Microsoft is making from this. Now, I don't know what they're spending. I know what they spent for their acquisition of Bethesda, which I believe
right,
was
right.
7 or 8 billion dollars, right?
Yeah, that's public. Yeah.
So, the most recent report I can find is for April of this year, 2021. Microsoft came in at 23 million subscribers for their Game Pass service. Now, if we multiply that by the $10, the lower cost subscription fee, we come up with $230 million, roughly thereabout, in revenue per month, which is $4 billion a year, roughly. A little less, So let's call it $3.5 billion a year, just from Game Pass subscriptions. That's not counting their share in microtransactions from any of these games, or any of the games that people are buying just full price to just buy them, right?
Right.
So just from Game Pass, they're generating steady cash flow of just under $4 billion a year.
Correct. Technically, that number, I'll be honest, does come to about 3 billion. But either way, that's all semantics. But if you take that number, if you take that number and you divide it, thank you. Take that number and you divide it by 70, the new price point of these games, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You get roughly around 39 million, which means that every person that subscribes cannot go out and buy 2 games that $70 price point, and for that profit margin to literally still be there. Like right now, either this is happening. Either Microsoft is adequately paying these developers for what you normally would go out and pay for these games, or Microsoft is not doing that, and and if they were paying them, they would have to be taking cuts from other places to be able to do it, and then you would be telling me Game Pass is basically a wash for them, which I can almost highly doubt that that's what they're doing. Or they're just not paying them adequately, and they're saying, oh, because you're going to get exposure for the little indie games, that's our charity work.
What I gathered from this conversation is Microsoft is basically your average 10,000 Instagram influencer. And they just
Great
rolled
point.
up in Bethesda and was like, hey, we're going to give you exposure. We want you to give us Skyrim. Deal?
You know what they said? They said, please take it from us, because we don't want to deal with any of the infrastructure anymore with it.
Yeah,
We know
but
you guys got nothing but money.
Microsoft buying
Take it.
Bethesda was probably one of the best things that could happen.
Oh,
For
it pissed me off
Microsoft.
so much, though. So much.
For Microsoft,
I'll never play another Elder Scrolls title again.
you can't tell me that it's good for Bethesda.
I can.
Okay,
I
if you
can
have
tell you who it's good for. It's good for Todd Howard, because I'm sure he
Yeah.
pocketed a ton of money. That's his
But-
retirement change right
but-
there. He doesn't care what console he's on. It's
But
like, I've got
that's a-
another mansion, guys.
That's
Yeah.
generational retirement right there, set up.
Separate from that, Bethesda's been on the downhill since they released
True.
Skyrim for the 8th time.
True.
That's why I say Microsoft
Also
gaining
true,
that,
yeah.
Microsoft buying those IPs, and just having someone. Microsoft wants to put out quality. So
They
when
probably shouldn't touch Skyrim.
Todd Howard recently, right, when they released Starfield, people were like, "Oh, that ladder's there. Can people use that ladder?" I think the direct quote from Todd Howard was, "We're working on that." The game releases next year. They are working on ladder level functionality in your ship.
To me, the Starfield trailer wasn't that impressive either, and I feel like Bethesda is now officially, they've got their formula down. Because when you think, you go back in time, like Morrowind was like a cult hit, right? I don't know if you guys ever played Morrowind or remember it.
Yeah, I've heard of
I
it
remember
though.
seeing it for the first time on Toonami back in the day. They had like a little advertisement for it, and I saw it for the first time. Thought it was the coolest thing ever. Played it, loved it. Then I was hype for Oblivion, and Oblivion was still not really that well known of a title. Skyrim, on the other hand, to Total Sunburst's point, they have released it 8 times. They've got the original, they've got the special edition, the Game of the Year edition, the Nintendo Switch edition, etc.
They have an edition that you can play on your Amazon Echo. Just speech version. That exists.
Don't not ask right now.
But what I'm getting to is that I think that there's a trend where developers like Bethesda ultimately go downhill because their games become very formulaic in nature, and
Yeah.
they don't really reinvent the wheel. Like Sumbro and I had a conversation, and I know that I've been viewed as a contrarian in the past, but I was not excited for Elden Ring. And
He's
the
canceled. I'm calling the police.
The reason that I'm not excited for Elden Ring is because I feel like it's Dark Souls 4. And once you've had Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2, and Dark Souls 3, and the DLC that came with all those games, it just gets old.
So
When you
what
think about
just
a franchise like God of War. God of War was a hack and slash. They reinvented to be much more than that with the fourth one. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
how much further digging have you done with Elden Ring just being Dark Souls 4?
I know it's open world. I know it's got mounts. Skyrim already did that 8
No,
times.
no. How much more digging have you done?
Legend of
What do you,
Zelda did that actually too.
what do you mean?
So they've implemented several from the ground up new systems. Now this is the first one. I'm gonna start out small. I'm gonna build my way up from that. This one's gonna sound lame.
Did
You
they
can
implement a system where they tell the story outside of the item descriptions?
yes.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea.
Yeah, so what they did is they had George R.R. Martin write the lore, write the story for the characters. And then they built up the game around the story that he wrote. So you'll experience that while playing. Separate from that, you can jump now. I know, I'm starting out small. I'm starting out small. There's some
Is
sort of
there a ladder functionality?
yes, that's standard.
Okay.
There's the ability to have spirits of enemies that you've defeated, and you put those into your kit. Like it's meant to be part of your build. So enemies that you defeat, you can summon as like NPC summons, and from what I understand, you can do that with any enemy. Now with weapons, okay, in Dark Souls, and they've iterated on this a little bit in Dark Souls. Different weapons had different weapon arts, is what you'll call them, right? Like they have a special weapon attack. Those are now divorced from the weapon. They're called skills. There's over 100 of them, and you can pair any skill with any weapon. So if you're using like this curved sword, and the one they show in the trailer has this like upwards backflip slash, if you wanted to, you could just do that with a greatsword, right? Because it's a separate skill from something that's tied to the weapon. And then online co-op is easier to do in Elden Ring, and I believe you can have up to 4 players in the PvP. And then they've structured some rules around the PvP. Like when you're doing PvP, you can't use the mount. And then also against some of the PvE enemies, specifically, you're meant to fight them on your mount. Like kind of like
mid. On what? You cut out.
You're meant to fight them on your mount. So like on horseback, you're meant to like run by with your great sword. So like it is more iteration than just they've changed game systems, and it's
So-
a new story.
Real quickly, question from the audience. That one could care less about this game, but my curiosity is George R.R. Martin. We think that's a good thing for this game.
Yes,
Why?
because he writes great stories. And before
What else has he written that's great?
before you talk about season 8 Game of Thrones, that's not him. The rest of Game of Thrones is great.
It is him. It's actually credited to him. But besides that, what else other than Game of Thrones has he written that's so great? I'd love to listen to that.
That's what he wrote. That's what
Yeah,
put
that's
him
the
on
only
map.
thing he wrote. That's the only thing he wrote. He wrote one thing that then ended up making everybody
To be
mad
fair,
in season
several
8.
books.
And you think, okay, fair enough. But I'm just saying the one thing that he wrote, right? And then
Was
now
good.
you're saying because he's there, all of a sudden God himself has blessed us on this game. That
No.
already doesn't sound entertaining. So, like the fact that I can swing a sword from my mount and climb a ladder and no longer have to learn the whole story through items is not that appealing to me.
My point being that
You
you
started
took
real
someone.
smart with he put his name out there. Yeah, you're right.
My point being is you took someone who is an expert at world and character building, and they
For
And
one
ruining at the
franchise.
last minute.
One franchise. They just threw enough money at him, and they were like, "Cool, we just need your name. We really don't need you to actually write a damn thing. We just
How
need
did
your
he
name."
get this after David Benioff and DB Wise got kicked off of Star Wars and every
Thank
other
you.
contract they got
Thank you.
during season 6 and 7 of Game of Thrones?
Preach it.
After season 8 came out, they all got canned. Every project they were working on got canned. Meanwhile, George R. Martin is like, well, I didn't even write the last 2 books yet, so that was all them. That wasn't me. That wasn't my idea at all. It's not like we had conversations about what I was planning to do and how I was going to end it. No, 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 no. It was definitely them, all them. Meanwhile, he's sitting there burning his manuscripts of the last 2 books that are probably already written in rough draft form. He's burning them. He's sitting there shoving them into a furnace to be forgotten because they were hated so badly. And From Software is like,
Somebody, do you want to know
What's-
his 3 movies that he's listed on currently?
What 3 movies?
So he produced and he acted in Meow Wolf, the origin story. He was a writer for Night Flyers, a 1987 American science fiction horror film that you've never heard of.
I've heard of Night Flyers.
That's because, oh wait, I forgot you were alive in 1987.
I
And-
most certainly wasn't.
Probably his
alive.
claim to fame
He was,
was he was an adult. And his claim to fame probably is being an actor in Sharknado 3. Oh, hell no. So I'm telling you right now,
Wait, George
could've
R.
given-
Martin was in Sharknado 3?
that is exactly what it says. And it says that he was playing himself. And it's only because he was popular enough for writing some basically softcore porn for television, which was Game of Thrones.
You have not watched Game of Thrones, have you?
I've seen the first season, and I'm okay with continuing on, but only in private and not where anybody else can see that I'm watching that. That's
I
how
want to
horrible that
have
TV
this
show is.
I want to have this conversation again after
When I
you
hit
watch
season
the whole
8?
show.
Oh yeah, I want to have this conversation after I watch season 8, like every other fan was. Yeah.
Yeah. All I gotta say is he's basically J.R.R. Tolkien 2 if Tolkien's little brother was like a porn director or something like that. Sunburst.
What- I think I'm the only one looking forward to Elden Ring, but I am very much looking forward to that.
Is anybody excited for the other Marvel plant or the other Disney plant for the Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy thing?
No, that looked like garbage.
Yeah, there you go. But the one thing I did actually hear, because like I'm slowly paying attention to E3, but the only things that started like hitting Twitter and stuff really big was the GameStop news. Did anybody else catch that?
No.
What's going on with GameStop?
Where they thought that GameStop had leaked the new Switch Pro, and then everyone did the memes where they put like basically just a piece of black cardboard and 2 Bic lighters of different colors beside each other, and then they just started making memes with that. So it's reported that it could be a 4K Switch, which, I mean, round of applause for Nintendo finally coming to the table with a decent, console. Oh
That
yeah.
thing had better not be in 4K when it's in handheld mode, because I want to be able to game for longer than 5 minutes.
Nintendo puts out trash systems since the Wii. And-
Nintendo is the Skyrim of console developers. They will re-release the same console 8 times. Let's make the Switch. Let's make the handheld Switch, even though it's already handheld. Let's make the 4K Switch. They will make 3 consoles every generation.
Raph, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to call up your friends up at Nintendo. I have a suggestion for their board of directors. Okay, ready?
Ready.
He's good at finishing things. JR. Put him on there. He'll do just as well as they're doing now. I'm telling you right now, what 5-year-old doesn't have a Switch is probably a good statement, right? They're sold out constantly for like 12-year-old kids and Sunbelt. But other than that,
all I've got to say is if that game brings one
Plenty
more
of adults
ambiguous
play on the Switch.
If that game
Basement
brings one
dwellers.
more ambiguous storyline told only through item descriptions and weird opening and ending cutscenes, they wasted their money on George R.R. Martin. I'm just saying it right now. Okay, I'm done.
Speaking of the Switch and Nintendo doing pretty well, I think, actually, at E3 coming out overall. Did anybody see the new Smash Bros. Character?
The guy
glad
from
we watched
Tekken?
E3. I think that's true.
I'm pretty sure he's from Tekken.
Yeah. No one cares, though. Do you see how many people cared in this group? Like, cool. Smash Bros. Is still Smash Bros. It's a great game when you're, like, around friends. It always has been.
People that play that competitively really care.
Oh, I understand.
Like, they really care.
I don't disagree with that. But
No.
to me, I thought it was weird when they added Solid Snake to it.
Well, they added some weird.
The rule is that it has to be an original video game character to be added to Smash. That's the rule. Which is why they won't add like Goku or anyone like that, because he wasn't a game character first. Wait, can we take a moment to talk about how much better Halo Infinite is looking after a year?
Well, hold on, real quickly to finish the Switch talks. I don't ever want to talk about the Switch ever again.
Okay, whoa. If we're moving on from the Switch, if you don't want to talk about it anymore, I want to talk about Breath of the Wild 2.
That's what I was going to talk about.
Okay, go ahead. You go ahead and
if this doesn't look like a Nintendo game built for it, like the intro title has to be like, as you see, I'm assuming it's Link, right? Who's the person? Zelda? I don't know. It's the same person.
Link is the primary protagonist.
Okay,
yes.
so flying through the sky. I imagine in my head through this trailer was coming to stores for 12 and under only. Like, this does not look any better than Breath of the Wild, the first one. Do we think it does?
Wrath, he's going straight in the bin. I promise I'm dragging him over to my recycling bin.
Do you think this looks so much better?
Prezi, did you play the Nintendo 64?
Yeah.
Did you play Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask? So you understand that it was the same exact assets that made both of those games.
Correct.
I think they're just reaching right back into the bag
and
pulling out a oldie but a goodie. And you know what? Breath of the Wild was. I never played it, but
it was good.
I've been told it's a cardinal sin that I haven't. So
it's so good.
Okay,
if they reuse the assets and make more content with the same graphics, I mean, it'd be nice if they charged a little less because they didn't really make new graphics.
The graphics were really nice.
They're literally the same thing, and they're all going to be in 1080p because you're on the Switch.
You know, most Zelda games are really good. So I he's over there stewing about our George R. Martin comments still.
I can't wait.
You two have the worst takes of anyone I've ever
I want the title of this podcast to be just straight hour of bashing the Game of Thrones guy. Like that's it. That's all I want. The Sharknado guy that happened to have written Game of Thrones.
Yes, that's what George R.R. Martin is known for.
So
he was in Sharknado 3.
So here's the best part about best part about Legend of Zelda is, and I always love this, it always makes me really happy, is they show something at E3 that's not coming out this holiday season. So everybody can forget about it and forget that you're not going to be able to get it because it is planned for some time in 2022. Probably this time, 2022. It's almost like they could show us this trailer next year.
To be fair, I am glad that's not released. This holiday season is going to be busy. Like, there's a lot.
No, but you have Xbox Game Pass. You'll be fine. You're paying $10 for everything.
Yeah.
I meant time management wise. Even if I want to play every game, and there's several that I do want to play, and I'll be able to because Game Pass is an amazing value. I wouldn't have time to play it if I wanted to.
But here's my question. Did Nintendo not have anything to come to the table with, though?
No.
Did they really have to show it?
Nintendo showing was really light this year.
I mean, it's probably because they didn't have the Switch Pro ready because there's no chips in the world to be able to make any console.
So I didn't see Nintendo's E3 conference. Did they talk about their new Pokemon game, the open world one that they're making?
I did not catch that part. I literally I went back and watched specific highlights of Breath of the Wild 2 because I like the first one.
I would see news about it if they had talked about it at all,
I
other
didn't
than what
I
they.
didn't see it. I
I
don't
don't
know
think
if it
they have anything on
matters,
it.
and I don't think
It's
anybody
gonna be a
cares.
2023 release.
Like, I know Pokemon's
What
like
is
the
wrong with
biggest
you
thing in
on
the
a
world.
fundamental level?
I know that Pokemon's
Pokemon
like
is
the biggest thing in the
literally
world.
the biggest IP that exists.
Correct. And I also, if I just like made one
Look
game,
up the stats on that, Wrath. Pokemon is the
it's
most
true.
successful IP that exists.
And
Period.
but Bro, if I made 70 games, right? And let's pretend like I took that Skyrim cult following, and I made 70 games, and I started naming them after gems. You would buy them, right? And then the same stupid game where you walk through some blades of grass, something pops you in the head, you throw a ball at it, and you hope for the best. And I just I don't ever enjoy that game ever. Um, I think getting the card game would be far more enjoyable, and at least it'd be more rewarding. Um, but like there was the Pokemon Snap, didn't that just come out?
Yeah. It's
Then
just
why
for a
does
good
another one need to
time.
be released? Then
Because
why does another
Pokemon
one?
Snap is not a Pokemon mainline game. Pokemon Snap is a game to play and relax and like chill on your couch and just sit on rails
Which
and have
Pokemon
fun.
was the action game
So wait,
Stadium?
which
other than Stadium? Yeah, I will go back and say Stadium was the biggest action game that Pokemon's ever put out.
Pokemon Go could be action.
Oh, that is
that's a really popular mobile game. It's super fun.
it's
Separate
like
from
the
that,
biggest thing they ever
you
did.
have Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee that released a couple years ago. They're all right.
Right?
They're not great.
Mm-hmm.
Sword and Shield, which from Pokemon fans have been received okay, but the thing is like people love that IP so much that even for a very lukewarm showing, they'll go in and get it. Like I got all the DLCs for Pokemon Sword on top of the game. I have it. I play it. I'm going to
Yeah.
play the remakes for Diamond and Pearl that come out on my birthday this year. I've never played those. I didn't get to because I didn't have the type of. I had a DS, but I didn't have the like upgraded DS, so I couldn't play them
Oh
before.
yeah.
So I'm gonna
I
play
have
those.
I have some stats to share on the subject for our listeners that may be interested. So Sumbro is correct. Pokemon is the most valuable, highest grossing media franchise of all time, sitting at a cool 92.121 billion. Second on the list is Hello Kitty at 80.026 billion. Third on the list is Winnie the Pooh at 75.034 billion, followed by Mickey Mouse, Star Wars, and a bunch of other stuff that no one cares about. Interestingly enough, if you compare that to video game franchises, Call of Duty is the top of the list
Oh, weird.
at 17 billion.
That's weird, Sumbro.
Yeah, but it'd be weird to buy your like half dead Call of Duty plushie.
And
like after he's already been like shut up.
Weirdly enough, I'm looking at this list of the top 10 best-selling video game franchises of all time, and I don't see Destiny 2.
And that's because it's a trash game that's been around for 5 years.
All
You
right,
talk about not
or
reinventing the wheel.
Or Overwatch.
You straight to jail.
You talk about not reinventing the wheel earlier with Skyrim. That is basically what Bungie did with Bungie, with Destiny. Real quickly, I just
Why
like
do I
to
put myself
inform
through
you.
this every week with you two? I literally just come away angry. Like we spend the entire podcast getting me angry, so that we go into After Dark and I can just start yelling.
Okay, hold on. Time out. I would like to inform you of something, and I would love if you in post could put this
Elucidate
beautiful
me.
thing. Microtransactions. You just made the comment. It's like it'd be really weird to get your dead corpse Call of Duty player as a plushie. Okay, cool. You want to know how much Blizzard did?
I'd be so angry if I bought a Pokemon game and they were like, "Yo, you can get the shiny Charizard, but it's gonna cost you $10." I'd be furious.
Yeah, exactly. Guess who isn't?
Call of Duty players.
The biggest video game franchise. Period.
Okay. But
Okay,
you're talking about
1.2
something.
billion microtransactions in the last freaking quarter.
You're talking about two entirely different segments of gaming, though.
Yeah, I'm talking
All
about your
right,
casual, like 70-year-old
casual.
or 5-year-old,
No,
and like the literal
no,
base of video
no.
games.
Stop talking.
Jeez.
So you have your casual dude, bro, Chad. All of them that are going to play
Mhm.
the new Call of Duty, guaranteed. And all of them will buy microtransactions to get the new skin on whatever shiny gun they have, which is where that money is coming from. But that is a different gaming segment than the people that are going to religiously buy Pokemon games. And Pokemon, while it is the largest grossing IP, is not only making that money through video games. Pokemon was a
No,
show first.
correct. I would almost want to see stats on how, if video games are even a quarter of their 92 or 98 billion dollar franchise, right? Like, I mean, the fact that they make so much money off of your dumb little plushies and or their TV shows that are dedicated to children, I don't. Yeah, I see where you're coming from, but my thing right now with you're talking about dedicated Call of Duty fans, I hate Call of Duty in the regards of like, man, it just makes me upset sometimes. But guess what I will pay for every single year, dumb like stupidly enough. I will pay for Call of Duty every year. Every year. I have dog tags sitting around here somewhere that say Modern Warfare 2 and then I have more that say Modern Warfare. You want to talk about how dumb that purchase was? Yeah. So dedication, I think, is on both sides.
You talking about the Pokemon show reminded me of how come no show has ever released a banger of a title theme like the Pokemon
Oh,
anime did?
that is 100% true.
You
Like,
just don't
Way to
see
bring
it.
down the temperature, Wrath. That is a
You just
good.
but do
don't
you
That's a
see
good
it.
think?
segue.
No, but do you think that whoever did that,
My Hero
like
Academia has
his
pretty lit
royalties?
intros.
What is that? I'm being dead serious.
I don't know what it is either.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. Okay. Good. I wasn't the only one. Making sure.
Glad that you guys called me the boomer.
What? I'm gonna have to Google this. Real quickly, talk about how Halo decided that because their last game was trash, they had to make a free multiplayer. Go.
So last year when they released gameplay for Halo Infinite, it was not well received critically. It caught a fair amount of backlash, and so Microsoft said, "Hey, like this was supposed to release with the new Xbox console. We're gonna put it back in the oven to bake for a little bit." Now, the multiplayer was always going to be free to play. They announced that back last year. That was part of the original announcement. So that in and of itself is not news. But I think some of the polish and tuning that they've done will show through when the game releases. The trailer looked really good. The guns and the finishers looked really fun. Some of the armor cosmetics, like I saw one Spartan had like a samurai styled armor. So they're definitely leaning into more of like the unique customization for your Spartan armor in the multiplayer. I'm looking forward to whatever game modes folks cook up for the like I guess like random games or party games that people play in Halo. Overall, I'm pretty sure people are pretty hyped. I do want to see Microsoft lean really hard. Microsoft and 343, the developers of Halo, move really hard into anti cheat. If they're going to be starting out free to play, I really want to see them have a strong anti cheat off the break because there's no barrier to entry for people that just want to, go in and ruin the experience for other folks. So,
Yeah, you're 100% right. And correct me if I'm wrong. It's supposed to be coming out later this year, right? I'm looking for the release date.
yeah, it comes out this fall. It's in the holidays.
Okay, good.
It's part of the holiday release.
I
So
mean,
the
oh yeah,
the
fall
worst
2021.
the worst season or the worst group of games that have released for Pokemon were actually Pokemon X and Y. They only sold $16.53 million, or moved 16.53 million units of that game. And the most recent Pokemon Sword and Shield only moved 21 million units. If you look at the original Red, Green, Blue, and Yellow, that moved 72.47 million units total. And that's also counting their spin-offs. Pokemon Stadium moved 12 million units, 11.32 million units.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody's going to argue with you that one, just off of sheer numbers, that Pokemon's going to do well.
I don't even recognize some of these.
And mainly that is because of where it's developed and then where it's mainly marketed.
What is Pokemon Cafe Mix?
I assume that it's something like what we played where Cafe Talk or Coffee Talk, but you just have like Pikachu and Charizard, babbling back and forth.
Learning
over
with
some
Pokemon,
espresso.
the typing adventure.
Oh yeah, that's this also what 50-year-old person's playing that?
No, that one's specifically for kids, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm
Also,
positive.
it only released in Japan.
Also, Wrath, I do want to point out I did look up this My Hero Academia, which he said you call me the boomer. You want to know how long ago that thing came out?
1965.
No, not actually that long. 2014. So I would like to remind everyone, just as they're keeping tallies at home, that if you were born in 2014, you currently would be like, I don't know, in like the first grade because you'd be like 7.
It
But
just had a movie released last year that was big news, and it has a new season that's out right now, premiering
big
weekly.
movie when like movie theaters weren't open.
It was
Big
right
movie,
before.
big news that we never heard of.
Yeah.
I'm sorry
Who's
you're a
hearing
boomer
this?
and that you're not sir, you're not
What
in
does that
tune
have to do?
with the today's youth.
I'm sorry that you think you're not a boomer and you're in the I
You
want to be young
couldn't
again
even.
Facebook group, and you're all trying to share things to make you younger.
Yeah, you couldn't even figure out Discord earlier, buddy. Like
I was in the Discord. I was asking what I didn't want to click a million channels.
Some bro tries to dial in every day on his rotary phone. It's fine.
and we always have to tell them that hey, buddy, you got to go ask your
From
nurse
the
to be able
bottom
to
of
get
my
you your
heart, I
computer
hate
set up.
this.
The I am happy that you've introduced me. That you can't say that we're boomers, and you're the one talking about how phenomenal Pokemon is, because
It was
definitely
a
their age
staple of my
demographic is.
childhood, and I
Yeah,
love it still today.
thank you. It's been around for a very long time.
Oh, I was talking about was the Tales of Arceus is the open world Pokemon
Mm,
game they're working on. But I don't think
uh,
they released anything on E3 about that.
no, overall E3 was a good conference. I I know that it was who's doing the charity stream.
GCX,
GCX's
the
game of
gaming
it's like
community expo.
right.
It was originally Guardian Con. So it was originally the Guardian Con convention for Destiny players.
Yeah.
And the folks who made it basically said, well, we want it to be more inclusive than just Destiny. Like Ninja was streaming Fortnite yesterday, for his charity block for it. So they
Right.
have some pretty big name streamers go in, and Dr. Lupo last year he anchors it. Last year he did Fortnite. I'm sure this year he's going to be doing Escape from Tarkov.
Yeah,
But
and you could buy tickets for it. Here's my favorite part is they're selling tickets for 2022, which will be in person in Orlando. I'm contemplating going, just because it'll be a lot of fun. Uh,
well, so what they did this year because of COVID and everything, right?
yeah, it's a virtual space.
So they created a virtual space station, and then they actually got with Bungie, and Bungie's
I
developers hid 7 ghosts
Yeah,
around
I
the
know.
virtual terminal that you can
Somewhat
explore
dumb.
and find. Well, you can get a free emblem for finding all
Uh,
7 of them.
do you want to know? Can anybody guess how much that costs to join
That's probably like 50 or
virtually?
$60.
50. Did you just say it's only
I said
and
it's
then use the?
probably. I said
Oh,
it's
oh,
probably like
oh,
50 or 60
oh,
bucks.
oh,
I
oh.
haven't looked into it. I wasn't
It
going to be
was
able
it
to
was
attend.
yeah, it was $55, right?
That's fine.
Um, which is okay. My I want everyone to always remember, and this is the word of advice from somebody that does this every day. is when you're donating money to these streamers, you're donating to these causes. It's a great thing. But you will personally do better if you personally donate to that organization than donating through someone else. Because that person will make more money off of that donation than you actually
But
giving it
it's
to that
so
company.
it's not about, and you're right, okay, but the purpose of the GCX event is to raise awareness and pull people together. And
Correct.
and what you have are people donating who might not otherwise have donated to that cause, which is where the
Because they wouldn't
benefit
have had
is,
the exposure prior.
and the
Yeah. No,
incentive. Yes.
and I fully get that. I just want everyone to remember that it like when Lupo gets on there, which I think Lupo's a phenomenal streamer. He does just amazing things for this. If you do get to hear this and he hasn't streamed yet, I don't know. He probably does. He does it the very last thing. He's always the last one.
He'll this by the time this airs, it will already have wrapped.
Okay. And so I mean, he's always got an exciting part. He always goes longer than he anticipates because they always give more money. You have some big name streamers that will potentially come in, like Lachlan over in Australia. Those kinds of guys. They all come in and they give out stupid money to him to do it. Um, I always hate painting them as like the perfect human beings when they are also generating funds off of these donations. Um, and you
Yeah, but
don't
a
necessarily
lot of the larger streamers, are, to be fair, are putting their money. Like I think Ninja donated like $40,000 or $50,000 himself.
yeah, he's making more than that probably off the donation, by the way. And my thing is that when I donate to that streamer, I don't necessarily get a form that says I donated to that charity. So I
Yeah,
don't actually get to write that off. But the streamer itself does because it's
well
direct donation to the actual cause.
the streamer is not hosting the charity stream. They are streaming through GCX's portal.
Correct.
So
And
no
GCX is
individual.
its own nonprofit.
Yes.
They're donating to GCX, which is already getting them their tax break. And then GCX gets an even bigger tax break because they give it to the nonprofit, to another one. And so it's just a cycle of how we work our U.S. government tax system, which is not no shame on GCX. I think that it's a phenomenal event to get people an awareness out there, regardless of what it is.
I mean they've
And
raised
Lupa
I
does,
think close
but
to $20 million total, like
it,
across all their years. Maybe not that quite
yeah.
high yet. I don't
Well,
know.
and they did something ridiculous last year. How much was last year?
It was like 4 or 5 million total last year. They've gone up
Yeah,
every year.
yeah,
Like the first year it was like 2 or 3 million, somewhere in there. Last year it was like 4 to 5 million, and I
right.
mean they're only a few days in, and they are approaching 4 million right now.
That's insane. I mean, that's
I think by the
just
time
it's
Lupo gets
crazy.
a hold, I think they'll hit 5 to 6 million this year.
That is just that's big. I mean, it's just really big.
Well, and it raises. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm with Prezi on the general sentiment that he has because they are using that income as tax breaks, which then mitigate the amount of taxes that they are paying with their money
But
by basically being a sieve for that money that's going to a charity.
GCX only exists for the purposes of this charity. Like there are other companies that have members involved in GCX, but GCX separate from like this charity going to St. Jude, that is the only reason it exists. It doesn't
Right,
exist for any other reason.
but they make money, right? Like they have to make money for these people to put on these events to do all these things. Like they're a company. They still
Well,
got to make money.
I think they fund a lot of it through Rare Drop, their actual gaming company.
Yeah, probably.
Rare Drop in King's Coast, like King's
So
Coast Coffee. You remember
right.
the coffee that I brought you?
Yeah.
The guys that host GCX own King's Coast.
Right. And I would always advise you, and if you're listening to this and you're a business owner and you don't have your own nonprofit underneath that business to generate funds for you so you can offload money through it to create yourself your own tax breaks at almost any cost, you're not running business right. I mean, it's that is simple business 101 is to basically be able to offload expenses to another entity that happens to be underneath your own, own roof. I mean, it works well, and there's no shame in it that that they're helping kids who need the help. And I will probably jump in and I'll probably donate 10, $20 if I can this week and do that because I think that, and I love doing it during the Lupo stream because it's Lupo, right? Like that's just the cool thing to do when everybody else is doing it. But it's just there's still some sliminess that I just can't get over sometimes.
So I just looked up, can a 501c3 make a profit? And it says
Yes.
it's a myth that your 501c3 nonprofit organization can't make a profit, but
No, that's
some of it
100% true.
may be subject to income tax. In other
Yeah.
words, your nonprofit can make a profit. Whether or not the nonprofit's income is taxable depends on whether the activities are related to the nonprofit's purpose. I
Correct.
think what Prezi is trying to say is although the optics of the situation make all these organizations and these streamers look very good and they bring exposure to the issues that they are streaming for, which is the point that you're trying to bring up, Sumbro, is that there's still a percentage of cash flow that we are not really sure whether all of that cash is going to the charity or if it's going into somebody's wallet. Is that
Yeah.
what you're trying to get at, Prezi?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
I am almost positive, talking about the folks that we're dealing with, it is 100% going to that charity. Like, separate
Yeah.
from legitimate operating costs. I
would hope. I'm gonna be with you. I
am
really would.
almost
Yeah.
positive. I cannot see the folks that are running that doing that. I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you on that factor that I'm hoping that they also do that. In no regard am I trying to diminish that. I also hope that they're fully giving all the money there.
Wrath is over here, absolutely tickled pink.
Yeah, because he knows that it's not happening. He knows that somebody's taking money, putting it in their back pocket because they can. Like I would do the same thing.
Nobody does anything out of the goodness of their hearts when that person is an organization. Because
Yep.
once you are a corporate or nonprofit, whatever entity, the government considers you a person. You
Yep.
are able to be sued just like an individual person. If someone was to sue Target, they're not suing the CEO, they're suing the company. But how can you sue an idea? Because that's really all companies are, right? They're just a loose idea. They can do that. So all I'm saying is when these organizations are put together, I'm not saying that the guys are, leaving that charity with a $7 billion golden parachute. I'm not saying that. But nobody does anything out of the goodness of their hearts. You look at all this stuff that corporations post during certain months of the year for
Oh yeah,
various social
that's yeah.
causes, and I'm not diminishing those causes. I'm
Nope.
not disagreeing with those causes. I'm just telling you, I don't think those corporations really care. I just
The
don't think they want
difference,
people coming after their money.
is your big box retailers that host those events, right, and those themed time things to raise money for whatever cause they do, and good, not disparaging that, good on them, good for raising money and raising awareness. But the companies that do that already existed as companies with the sole purpose of making money. The difference with GCX is that it was made specifically to put money into St. Jude.
Specifically to filter 10% of the money that goes to St. Jude's.
I'm just saying. I'm saying right now, and Raph, when you say
I
that comment,
100% disagree with you.
no, Raph, when you made the comment though, that the fact that like I don't necessarily believe that like no company does anything out of the goodness of their heart. Like I think there are companies that do try and really strive for some kind of holistic idea that they can help communities or they can help things. But and I know what you're getting at, and almost anybody listening to this will also know what you're getting at with this past month. And you can just go to any corporation's Twitter and see how insensitive they are. Currently, I think that any corporation that made a decision to change their logo this month is missing the point of any point of activism. The fact that the majority of those companies are donating money to go against that cause, but because they know it's good PR, they're going to change their logo. I fully with you that any of those kinds of companies, which there are more often, there are those type of companies than not. I truly believe that yes, there are a lot of companies out there that just want to do stuff like that for the for the view of stuff. Am I saying GCX is a good company? It is. It probably is a very good company. I know for a fact they give tons of money, millions of dollars, to a phenomenal cause every year. Do I think that it's a good way for other companies that now that I've been informed that the coffee that I really like does this, offloads money through it? Sure, it's a good business idea. I'm not dogging that at all. So we're just hurting somebody today. I feel so bad.
I just think it's funny because I think every single topic we've come through today, we have had a severe disagreement with
Okay.
Sunbro.
Okay. So I know we're wrapping up here, and I just want to show one last thing, and I'm actually going to show it on screen. I know how to do this. I've already worked it out in my head.
Oh,
This
this
will
is
make
what you
him
were
happy.
doing. This is
This
what
will
you were
make him
doing
happy.
earlier.
No, I just did it 2 seconds ago.
Oh, okay. I thought this is when you were messing with your screen at the beginning of
Oh
before
no
we
no no
started.
no! That was because I use OBS for my work normally. I'm going to show you something which you definitely have seen,
Okay.
but made me so happy today, and will make you happy, and you can tell Raph all about it to close us out here. Okay, you ready for this?
I'm about to re from the rooftops. Hot damn!
Is that the Virgin
Where can I
Mary?
buy it? Where can I buy it? It might as
Give
well
me a
be.
second. I can't get it off the screen.
Where
now.
can I buy that?
Okay, no, now I'm back.
Where can I buy that?
Okay. So I do have. You've not seen that yet? Was that the first time you saw that? That's not the first time you saw that, right?
No. I know that. I know what that is.
No. But did you see Bungie's store at Bungie store on Twitter today at 1:00 saying coming soon?
Yeah, I'm looking at the posting. It's been on their Bungie store for a year. So
I understand that, but today was the first day that they said, "Hey, it's here." And the reason why it reminded me of it because I went and looked at GCX, and GCX had jumped on their train to generate more money for the offloading of other companies.
So
and they commented about this too.
Bungie always raises a ton during their block of the
Oh yeah,
the marathon, and last year they just teased it. They were just like, "Hey, what do you guys think about this?" Because of Jotun, the meme, like the Destiny's demon toaster, right? And people were
they have a
like,
gun,
"Yeah, I
and
would
it's called
love."
Jotun, and it basically charges up and shoots at you if you were to take a toaster and put the part where you put the toast in looking at you. If
And
you
it
were to
shoots a
shoot that
fireball.
out, that's what it would be like.
Um,
So for a little bit, for somebody that maybe doesn't know anything about Destiny, when you go to purchase things in the Destiny shop online, for you personally, Sunbro has a couple shirts and different trinkets. I have a couple shirts and a jacket coming. And so they typically will have the price set at something random. Their price is usually 770,777
it's all
dollars.
sevens. It's all sevens.
It's all sevens. They're like 6 sevens or so.
It's eight sevens, counting the two after the decimal.
Correct. Thank you. Yes. And the reason why that's important is because during their block last year, they stated that if they can get over $800,000 raised in that block, they will go ahead and release a Destiny toaster, which is what you saw there. And for people at home that are listening to this, maybe in their car, that is a piece of toast with the Destiny symbol on it. And so that is that's coming. That's coming. It's actually going to be here sooner than later.
I already told
I will
Heather I'm
purchase
buying
one.
that. Yeah, I'm 100%
I have
buying
to.
that.
I have to. And that's what does my relationship in. That's what does it. I'll eat some great toast. So, anything else, gentlemen?
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Anything else?
I thought you were about to just actually get me to blow my top with
Shit,
some
you,
like.
George R. Martin pretending like he knew how to write something. No.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We have Total Sunbro everywhere in the upper left, Prezi J, hopefully everywhere in the bottom left, and at Rathagen everywhere in the upper right. Tune in to our After Dark special. If you are a patron, we are hoping that Bruce Buffer will make an appearance to go ahead and call these fights that we're about to have for the next half hour. But thank you guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment. And if we got any of these takes wrong, let us know what your opinions are because we really want to know, especially if you agree with us and not Subbro. But thank you guys so much. You guys have a good day.